Hello and welcome to this section. In this section, we will learn about object arrays. In this section, we mainly include the following knowledge points. First, we will introduce to you what is our object array. Then we will talk about some usage scenarios of object array. Finally, we will open the editor to tell you about the basic usage of our object array. So first of all, we have a brief introduction to an object array and its widget. First of all, we have made it clear that the object array and two-dimensional array are essentially based on the word array. They are 10 points similar in terms of feature and usage scenarios. The difference between the two and the tool is that each line of the object array is an object, not a one-dimensional array. There are also some differences in the formula. The two-dimensional array is completely positioned with its subscript. The first subscript locates its row number, the second subscript locates its column number, and the object array locates its row in the array first, and then locates it according to the key name. Obviously, through our study in the last class, we also found that we must write 012 if we want to reference an element in a digit, which is a very non-intuitive reference method. In our object variables, we can directly reference point Jianming, which is very intuitive. Therefore, in our object array, it will become more intuitive. We don't need to count the subscripts of their elements one by one. What are the usage scenarios of the object array? First of all, two-dimensional arrays can do the right thing, and most item arrays can do it. Therefore, after we learn about our circular creation in subsequent chapters, we will feel that our data binding will make our object array more intuitive. Therefore, we suggest using our object array as much as possible in actual projects. The use of two-dimensional arrays is mainly used in the scene of circular nesting, or in the scene where there are clear requirements for the subscript of elements. Then let's open our editor to talk about the basic usage of the object array. First, we open our editor, write our object array here in the application name, and then click Create. In this way, we complete the creation of an application, and then we add a page under the front end. What shall we add under the page? Here, I'll first add our object array, and then we'll add a one-dimensional array. I'll let you have a deeper understanding of what our object array is. First, we select our object array so that we can set its field value in our object array. The object array is very similar to our two-dimensional array. First, when we click the plus sign to set its field value, and then when we click the plus sign below, it is equivalent to setting a row of data. Therefore, we pour some data from our previous 2-bit array. Here we pour it again. First, what is the first point of its object array? It's our name, isn't it? So what is the name when we click the plus sign? It's a string type, right? You see, we have been selected. Here is our me. Then there's his age. What's his age? It's our numerical variable, right? So he is an age, and then his enrollment time. Similarly, click the plus sign to select a value, and then his enrollment time, and then his photos. Here we choose as a resource, that is, a photo of him, and then we add a row of data for him. What should we do? Let's click a plus sign here, because what's his name? The name here is Zhang San, the same age 20, enrollment time 2018. Then we can wear a photo at will. Similarly, we add a line of Li Si. What's his age? 21 years old. His enrollment time is 2016. We'd better send a photo instead of the same one. Then there is another one called our Wang Wu, and then his age is 23 years old, and his enrollment time is 2015. Here, we randomly select a structure of such a material, so that we have completed an assignment to the object array value. In this case, we are here to add a button. In this case, we are going to print the value of our object array through such a button. We are also going to trigger it through event. When it is clicked, we are going to select our object array. The first value in the menu is our current value of printing it now. Here we go to select the current value for printing, and then here we have a preview. Similarly, do we turn on the check, and then turn on our control to show when we choose to print, we can see that there is an object array here, and what is the structure of such an object array? Is there a bracket outside? What does the bracket mean? Parentheses indicate whether it is now in the structure of an array, and it is a 3-line array. Then there is such a curly bracket plus a comma. What is curly bracket plus a comma? Did we learn about curly braces last class? What is it? It is an object variable, and the comma is a type for dividing elements. So can I suddenly find out if it is equivalent to a one-dimensional array? Let's just look at such a structure. We don't expand it, and then we select one of our bit arrays, and we also add a series of values to it. Here we all know select as an object. Then here we simply attach an initial, that is, our curly braces, which is equivalent to a null value of an object, such a series of values. So for a one-dimensional array, if we change each value into an object, it is actually an object array. So for our object array, how many dimensions does it have? Yes, it's only one-dimensional. Please note that the dimension of object array is only one-dimensional. What's its second dimension? It is accessed through our geometry. Therefore, as a whole, it is only one-dimensional in our space. Then, it is also convenient for everyone to have a deeper understanding. This is the usage of our object array. In that case, we already know that its essence is our one-dimensional array plus a method of using our objects. We need to reference it. How can we reference it? Here, I'll copy such a paper first. Let's try it here first. For example, for our point 1, let's first think about it. When we reference a one-dimensional array, we need to reference a line in the one-dimensional array. How do we locate it? How did we write it at that time? Did we draw a square bracket and add its line number? For example, here I want to quote C, who is in the first line of 0, 1, right? So let me put a square bracket first and go to D. Now that we have reached such a step, what does such a hole represent? Is it such a hole? It represents an object variable here. In the object variable, what should we do if we want to reference a name in it? Whether it depends on a point, the name can be used by C, but we said before, that is, if we want to make a real quotation, do we make a quotation by typing a delivery number, then putting English quotation marks in it, and then adding a life? So, we have noticed that this is a usage for us to refer to an object variable in the standard, that is, the line number in front of it, and then the geometry in the back. This is a reference method in our standard. Now that we have a thorough understanding, we will delete our one-dimensional number, and a feature printed here drop. The same here, we add a series of buttons, we will trigger it a series of actions. Let's have a deep understanding. Also hit us through the button to trigger the event. When it is clicked, we go to call our object array. Then first of all, the first point is our assignment feature. If the assignment feature is assigned, what will it assign? Is the content of its assignment equal to a series of structures, such as our one-dimensional array and our object variables? It's the same. We have to write an array structure first. What is the array structure? Is it a bracket in our English, so we have finished it? First, what is it? It is an array, and then what is the value of each cell in the object array? Is an object. Object, what have we learned in the last class? It's our curly braces, so curly braces, comma delimited brackets, comma delimited brackets. Does this complete a preliminary structure, that is, the outside is our array, and then each unit inside is our object, so as to complete each initial writing method, and then in each delimited bracket, we just need to write according to the object writing method. For example, we first put a quotation mark, which is called an SD, and then a colon. SD is our 123. We quickly copy it here, and then we don't want SD here, which is called our SF. Then we also copy and paste it here. This side is compared with SF, which is called level S. In this way, do we complete the processing of our object array. We print out the array of our objects, and have a look. We print the value of the day for a preview. Then, let's first look at its initial value. Its initial value is such a number of values. We can click again to see whether a new value has been copied by us. So we mainly want to understand such a structure. The so-called object array is that its essence is a dimension organization. the value of each unit in each array becomes an object, which becomes our object array. Then we add a button under the page to trigger it through event. When it is clicked, let's call our object array. I won't demonstrate the emptying operation here. After emptying, like a 1-bit array, it will become a square bracket of 0, 0. Then let's take a look at the operation of adding a row of data. Click Add a row of data to see the name, age, enrollment time and photos. Where does this place come from? It is because we have defined the initial structure for it here, so when we trigger such an action, it will automatically help us to analyze the structure, so we can write it casually here, and it is necessary for us to put quotation marks here, but it doesn't matter if I write Chinese here. For example, add a yellow here, who is 26 years old, enrollment time, 2013, we don't want this photo of him, mark it blank, and then let him add it to the end of us, so as to add a line of data. After adding, we ask him to perform an operation to print the current value on our object array. Let's have a look. First of all, its initial value is our 0, 1, 2, 3 rows of data. When we add it, it turns into 4 rows. Finally, a yellow 26 is added to the name, and then his photo, and a series of information are added. Therefore, we have completed the operation of adding a row of data, and if we directly choose to add a row of data, it will kill me. We only need to write the value contained in each piece corresponding to it to complete an addition. Of course, another way is to add a row of data custom structure. What does the custom structure mean? Since it is a custom structure, it is equivalent to a way of writing an object variable that allows us to write it. Then I will write here casually. For example, there is a rhubarb here, and then he is 26 years old. Then he enrolled in school in 2013. Then I write casually in the photo. Does this become an object variable? Then, have I told you before, what is the data of each row of our object array? Is it equivalent to an object variable? So here, we will directly select the value of our object variable to add, and then let it add to the end, and then we will take a look again. This is our new method of adding. Let's take a look at the preview. In this way, its initial value is like this. When we click on 3 lines of data, we can see whether there is an additional rhubarb in the end, and a series of information about it is written here. So here, whether I fill in our object variables here, or I directly use the curly bracket method of object variable assignment we learned in the last class, it is okay, and it can be copied. It just makes you more deeply understand that the data of each unit of the object array is our object variables. We must understand this. So we choose the value of the object variable here. This is how we add a row of data. Then we add another button. We can see its next event. When it is clicked, we also call our object array. What can we see here? A series of operations of adding and inserting multiple rows of data. Inserting a row of data is nothing more than writing an index value and its value. For our object array, what is the value of a cell? Whether it is our object variable or not, so we won't demonstrate inserting one item of data here. I'll add multiple rows of data here. I still want to talk about it in detail with you. Do you remember how much data we need to add to the two-dimensional array? What is written here? Is it a two-dimensional structure? So for us to add multiple rows of data, is it enough for an object array and an object variable? Definitely not enough, right? So what do we know about the data source here? Should we at least write an object array, where we first add it to the end, so we are the simplest? First, we copy such an object number, and then paste a copy here, and then we can change it casually. We just need to add 2, not c. Here's another astons, and here's a series of values like cubic 3. Then here, we will select a value of the newly copied object array, so that we have completed the addition of the value of our old object array. Then again, we print out the old array of objects through event to see our preview. First of all, when I click print, I can see the original 3 lines of data. Then when I add 2 lines of data, you see it becomes 5 lines, and then the new values include our local 3, including our aston 4. Have they all been displayed? Has this completed the addition of multiple lines of data? Then I'll add more details here. I'll show you that there is another way to write here. Let's see if we can write like this. I'll write a bracket here. What does the bracket mean? What is it? Is it an array of ours? Then I'll click here to select the value of our object variable, and then I'll separate it with commas. Then I'll click to select the value of our object variable to let you understand whether I can write like this. Yes, why? Because I reiterate that our object is blocked. What is its essence? It is our one-dimensional array. Do you think our one-dimensional array uses a bracket, and then uses a comma to separate the values of the two variables? It is just that the element of each unit contains one of our object variables, and it becomes our object array. Similarly, we are going to preview it. First, we print the original value, and then we will print it. Let's add it. You can see that because I added our object variables before, they are all our rhubarb, so it added rhubarb twice, right? We can confirm that this can also be added, so we must have a deep understanding of our data structure, so that you can use our tools very flexibly to achieve a series of effects you want. In the same way, through event, we can see his next action. In the same way, when he is clicked, we can call our object array to let him perform a series of operations. We know how much data is added here, and how much data is inserted, which is just to write an additional index location. We will not make a demonstration here. Then, here comes another operation of adding columns. In fact, have we talked to you before? When have we added this force? Have we also added forces in our two-dimensional array? Just here it wants us to fill in a column name. Why? Because the column name is very sensitive to numbers like us. Let's have another column name here, that is, our native place. The same organ is from Chengdu. Here, let's print out our objects and arrays. This is how we add columns. Let's have a look and see the original three data. We can take a look at the enrollment name and age photos. After we add them, we can see three data. They become the enrollment age photos and one more place of origin, right? And it fills in such a value of the place of origin for each such data, which is how we fill in the column. Let's add another one here. We add an object array here, and then we add a column name here. The column name here is called one of our zodiac signs, and then we add a series of zodiac signs to it. For example, the first zodiac sign is a pig, the second zodiac sign is our snake, and then the next zodiac sign is our dog. You can see that I write different values for our Chinese zodiac, and then call them through our event. Here we can choose our object array, and then what is its column name? What are we going to add? It's our zodiac, isn't it? We use quotation marks in English. Then here is one of our zodiac signs. In this way, have we completed a method to add columns from another array, and then we will print the value of our object array 1. Then let's preview the same thing. When I click it for the first time, I can see when he was originally enrolled, his name, his age, and his photo. When I add it, let's see if the first one has become 2018 pictures of 30 and 20, then the photo, and a pig, then the snake down, and then our dog down. It's the same as it's exactly the same order as the one we added here. Therefore, for our method of adding columns, it can be very flexible to add different values to different people. This is our method of adding columns from another array. Next we add a concept, and let's take a look at its next event. When he clicks, we call our object array, let him execute a series of event, and then go down to our deletion. The deletion row and column have been demonstrated before. In fact, the deletion column can be written with a corresponding column name. For example, if we want to delete the photo column here, we can select the photo column in the distribution menu here, and he will delete our photos. If you also delete a line, if you tell him which line number in your line, you can delete the line number. Then the only difference is that we have a deletion case condition here, that is, if he meets this condition, you can delete the corresponding line. Let's take a look here first. For example, everyone here is different in age incorrect. Then we delete it according to the conditions. For example, we delete all people older than 20 here, so we click here, and their age can be noticed. What am I doing here? I directly select the age in the drop-down menu. Let's think about it. We deleted it according to the conditions before. When, how did we choose? In the drop-down menu, first count the age column, and then delete it. So here you see that the age is greater than our 20. Here we can enter 20, and we will delete it. Similarly, we will print our object array, which is very intuitive. Look at the age column. If it is greater than 20, we delete it. If we used to use one-dimensional array, what should we do? We are 0, 1, so what does it mean to write and 1 greater than 20? People don't understand, do they? So why not use a two-dimensional array? Why do you use less one-dimensional array and two-dimensional array? This is the reason. Because they're not intuitive at all. Let's have a preview here. First, print it. There are Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Wu here. Then we click delete to see a Li Si greater than 20. Have all our Wang Wu been deleted? Then this is what we delete according to the condition. In the condition deletion, we can directly select the corresponding column name in the drop-down menu and the menu. This is very important. Similarly, we add a button to trigger its next event. When it is clicked, we call our object array, and then we set and update one series of operations. Then here, I will directly demonstrate to you the method of setting values across lines, because setting values across lines is equivalent to our setting values, plus one of our peers. These two methods are that you set a certain value, or you want to set multiple values in the same line. In the final analysis, they are the method we talk about, that is, we first go to find the line number where it is located, cut an array of our objects, and here we set a value. For example, we need to change the name of Li Si. Which line is it? The first 0 is in the first line, so we write Ru E in the line number here, and then what are we going to do in the column? You want us to write the value of the column, right? What are we going to change? Modify his name description, so we can directly select one of his names in the drop-down menu. Its line number, for example, I don't like Li Si. Let's set the first line to it. President Pan, let's print out our modified object variables here. Similarly, let's take a look at Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Wu first. When I click again, he becomes Zhang San, Rhubarb and Wang Wu. Do you think he is involved in the first line? So we must pay attention to one thing. What do we do when we set it in a 1-bit array? First set a line number, and then select the value to be written in our line number. Is this the same for our object variables? Yes, first select the line number, and then put the value in it. Because its value itself is an object, so I have to write another object to set it in, right? All here, we choose a variable for an object. At this time, it is completely consistent with our 1-bit array. Then, in the same way, we need to set multiple rows of data. Since how much data should be set, what should we do? Is it the same as before? What should we choose here? Here, just select our object array. Here, we will select the value of object array 1. In our object array 1, you can see that 0, 1 has 2 lines in total, so if we want to replace it, what should we do on it? If it is greater than 1, we all develop conditioned reflex. Since we want to write numbers, we have to write it as an array on it. That is, there is a 0 bucket 1 here. Does this set the 2 lines to our new value at the same time? So let's preview it here. First of all, he can see that, Zhang San Li Si Wang Wu, when I set the first 2 lines, I expand and become local 3 Aston and Wang Wu. Where did local 3 and Aston come from? Are we from the object array 1 here? Are the 2 lines set together? In the same way, we add another button here. In the same way, when it is clicked, we go to adjust our object array. What else is the action here? We have finished setting multiple values here, and then we come here to update our data, and update the data. In fact, it is very interesting. In fact, the operation of updating data is used very much in our backend, but here we provide you with a retrieval method to let you carry out a batch of updates. For example, here I want to copy a listed person who meets such a condition. which is also very, very obvious, right? What if I change the age of a man named Zhang San into 1 plus 2? What to choose in the drop-down menu? Is one of his names equal to what? Yes, our Zhang San, right? We still type English here. Okay, then our Zhang San, and then the same, what does he want? We need to make a setting for its age. Since it is a numerical variable on this side, we can select 1 plus 2 on this side, and its automatic age will make an operation of adding 2. Here we will let the object array print its current value. Let's take a look at the preview. At the beginning, we can see that Zhang San's value is 20 years old. When I set this value and search the value through the conditions, you can see whether plus 2 becomes a 22-year-old. Therefore, this is a series of operations for us to update the data, so we can update it if the conditions are met. So here we all know that what I find when I meet the conditions? In fact, what I find is a set of arrays, and then I select its corresponding column in the drop-down menu. What do I want to do with the values in its column? Update, and then make a change. So this is the advantage of using our object array. It is very intuitive. Similarly, we add another button. When this button is clicked, we occasionally call our object array to perform the following operations, and then modify the column name to fill the column, whether before we talk about object variables or before we talk about object variables. We've already talked about this when it comes to two-dimensional arrays, so we won't demonstrate it here. Then there is a content here, called our filter output. In fact, when we talked about our 1-bit array, we already talked about the filter output. Similarly, there are differences in the writing of conditions. Before, if we wanted to write a name to meet a certain condition, should we enter the name here? It's D0 line, so we write 0 here, right? Here, if we want to meet a certain condition, for example, his age is older than our 20 years old, because we choose his age in the drop-down menu, why? For example, if we are over 20 years old, we can make an output to it, and then we can debug the record in the application system to see the output value of a result. This is our conditional filter output, and you will find that the age is more than 20 years old. Of course, if you want to sort it or enter it, it is also possible to limit the number of rows per row. Here we have a look. For the same initial value, there are a series of values in it. Let's carry out a conditional filtering output. We can see that only our Li 4 and Wang 5 who are greater than 20 come out. This is what we carry out a conditional filtering. In the same way, we add a button to trigger a series of events. When he is clicked at this time, we choose our object array. Since the condition is filtered, we all said that the statistical number searches for a certain value, the statistical sum, and the statistical average. This is an old friend we see from an array, and what is our object array? Is it that a value in our 1-bit array becomes an object, so you can try it yourself? Let's demonstrate one of them casually here, for example, our statistical sum. Here, you can select a column name. For example, we need to make a statistics on the age here, so we can feel that we can enter 1 here 2 ages. When it is clicked, we select our object array. In the drop-down menu, since the statistics have been completed, we will now start a series of sorting operations. Have we also done a series of sorting operations here? You see, sorting, random sorting, removing duplicate rows, and performing a weight removal by column. Weight removal by column should be the only new thing for us, but I think everyone should be able to see this. For example, when there is a duplicate value in the front row, it is also very easy to understand. Therefore, we will not give a demonstration here, and then include our reverse row order transformation, as well as parsing a column to an array and cloning structure template. These are things that we have talked about many times. Here we are no more demonstrations, but here I'm going to show you a very, very important thing called our consolidated table. Consolidated table requires you to have some deeper ideas on data processing here. Here, I'll give you a very simple demonstration. I'll put our original object array. The name of the reform is called merge1. Similarly, we copy merge1 and paste it here to become our merge2. Then I change the paper in merge2. For example, in this merge2, it has no age, no enrollment time, and no photos. What does it have? It has one of our zodiac signs. The zodiac signs are pig, dog, and snake, right? Then here we add a new zodiac to it. For our merger, it has a name, but it has an age, enrollment time, and photos, but it has no zodiac. What am I going to do now? I want to merge our two tables through a primary key through a function like we merge tables. What is our primary key? The main idea is to select a field in both object arrays, so you see, it has a name in merge 1, and it also has a name in merge 2, so then it can carry out a simple merge. Let's demonstrate whether we know who the merged content is. Is it going to merge with our merger too? What is his opinion? What are their two opinions? It's our name, so we directly enter one of his names here. Then there will be a series of consolidation methods. If you choose left union, it means that we use the data on the left as a benchmark, the right chain uses the data on the right as a benchmark, and inline is to go to their intersection, and extranet takes union. I will give you a demonstration one by one, because the left union is right in the future. When we learn about backend, we will also use such a concept when we go to carry out a correlation query. I will tell you again then, but here, you can listen to it first. When you may learn about our backend, you will not feel so strange. Here, we will select the left link first, and then we will select an application system debugging record here. Note that because it is merged, we can get a merged result in the associated parameters. Usually, we come here to preview an effect. Here, we first see whether the initial value is such a series of contents, that is, this is our original content. After the top-level merger, I can see, 30 or 20, and then the photos, including one of his zodiac animals is a pig. Has it been completely merged? Some students will ask, how does the merged result feel exactly the same as the array addition just now? Oh, but for the array addition just now, do we have to ensure that each order of it is consistent? We don't need to demonstrate here. For example, this person is called a Lisi and this person is called a Zhongsan. Similarly, I'll merge them for you to see, because now the order of Zhongsan and Lisi is completely different. If we merge again, we can see that Lisi's zodiac has become a pig. Isn't it the same as me? Lisi's zodiac is exactly the same as that of a pig, so the usage of this merge is very, very easy to use. That is, it automatically helps us find a field of a primary key, and then it automatically helps us merge a content with more data here. Then this is our leftist league. What is it? The left union is to merge as many as there are in our master data. Here I'll show you what our right face is. Let's take one less value here. For example, there are only Lisi and Zhongsan here. Let's make a merger for you. First, we still use the form of the left league. We can see that for Zhongsan and Lisi, they both have their own zodiac. For Wang Wu, they don't have their own zodiac, but we still make it primitive. I typed it directly. Why? Because the original value is on its left, which is its left key, it will be displayed according to our merge 1. Since it does not have this value, it will not be merged, but its original value is to be displayed. And if we choose a right face here, what effect will it have? I believe you have guessed. Also here, let's print first. Does it have 3 data, and then we merge the right face? We can see that it has only 2 lines of data. Why? When the right side is used as a basis, there is no king 5 at all. You see, we don't even have a king 5, right? So Wang Wu was killed, so for our left league or right league, it means how we deal with the redundant data. If we use the left union as the merger, we will retain the data on the left. If we use the right union as the merger, what will we do with the data on the left union? We will directly abandon it. So, in the same way, if we take a union, we can see its effect. At the beginning, it was 3, right? Then when we take the union, you see, it becomes 4. Why? Zhongsan, Lisi, Wang Wu, including Tianqi. Tianqi, who has no information, has also come out. This is a result of union. So these are the 4 ways to merge. Generally speaking, if the 2 structures are almost identical, we can use the default leftist union. Merging tables is a very important knowledge point for us. We have to operate manually to experience such a process. Then finally, we can use a button. Let's try it. Let's call a series of values of our object array. Through the top-level event, we can assign a value to a text like ours. When he clicks, we will assign a value to the text. What is the assignment content? This is our object array. When we combine them, we can see that a series of values come out. For example, take a line of values here in descending and ascending order. Have we talked about this series before when talking about our 1-bit array, so we won't repeat it here. What do I want to demonstrate here? Is to let you deeply understand the structure of our object array. For example, I choose its value here, and then I click a value here. Then I'm here. I'm going to get a value of Lisi. How do we get it? Have I told you before that if it's a 1-bit array, would you take it? Then we should first treat it as a 1-bit array. What should we do when we go to the first line like this? Type a square bracket and write a 1. Has it gone into the word management? Then in Lisi's line, what should I do if I want to get his name? So I put a bracket again, and I will put a quotation mark here, and then here is our name column. If you look at the name column in the first row, you will find out what the result is, whether it is our Licia. So here we preview to see an effect. If you click it, do you see whether Li4 will pass? And how many assignment methods are there? I'll show you. This is our first replication method. For any of these methods, if you look at each replication method in the future, you can reflect the conditions you are very familiar with. It proves that you have mastered our data structure very well. Similarly, here we click a copy, and then we first use the most traditional method, that is, what is our choice? Choose a value, right? It lets us choose the model, and what is one of its listed models? Is the model one of ours? What is the list? It's our name, isn't it? So we just put a name in our quotation marks. Do you think this is also quoted? We can preview it again. When clicking, you can see that Liz is handsome again. Similarly, we will log out and choose a new method. When it is clicked, why should I choose? I'll copy it. Let's choose our merge one. This is not what we can choose. Let's first select a value for a row. What do you think a row is? What's the number? Is it the first line? So choose one from the models here, and then why does a value appear? Because when I choose for such a model, what becomes? It becomes an object, so the object automatically brings us a value, and what is its field name? It's our name. You see, there is another writing method, which is completely correct. Let's take another look. You see, it's okay. Then we'll write another method. Similarly, we assign an assignment to it through us, and the assignment content is still our combination. What shall we write next? Shall we learn a certain train? What's in a column? Since an element in a column needs to be in a column first, which column should we locate first? Since we want to locate to a certain column, which column do we want to locate? Is it our name list, so what is it? It's our name. Then what are we going to write after the name? It's element subscript. What is the element subscript? 01, right? And what is this practice? But take out one of our columns first, right? It is equivalent to getting a column first, and then we go to its corresponding subscript to find its corresponding value. You see, it is still one horizontal plus one vertical to locate its value. You see, the column name through a column here is the name, and then the subscript is 1. You can still locate one of our Lisi and click again. So for us, we have at least 4 ways to find a certain value. So if you have mastered the writing of a certain value, I believe other people can understand it better. For example, for a way of writing, what is a line actually? Is a line actually an object? So if I'm here directly, let's delete it later. Let's delete a series of contents later. A line is good and equal to 1. What do we print out in this case? Is it equal to a variable? We can verify it. Let's print it. Do you think it is a result of an object in the row where Lisi is located? So let's take a look at a series of results, that is, if I locate a column, what will it be like? If we delete so many contents, what will happen if a column name equals our name? Let's have a look. When I click, it becomes an array, because you see that the three vertical elements need to be assembled. Does it have to be assembled with a number, and then what line is it in? The first line, right? So 01 is said to be located at Lisi. Thank you for watching.